Salutations and welcome to the Rant Squad. I am the Water Dog. This is
Clint Jordan.
And this is
Menard.
And we're going to talk about our Week 6 surprises right out of the gate, brother, about what happened this past weekend and all that good stuff. And we're going to start with our favorite surprise winning team. So Clinton, who's back in the phone.
I know, I'm here. I'm glad to be back.
He's no longer an image.
That's right. It felt, I feel a little warmer. I'm not frozen this week. Anyways, man, it was a really fun weekend of football. It was a lot of fun for fantasy football. I felt like all over the league scores and just scoring was up. It was really exciting. My surprise win, it wasn't the team that I was surprised winning, it's how they did it. And that was the Detroit Lions. Just every phase of the game, they ran the ball over Dallas. They passed the ball over Dallas. Their defense was, they lost Aiden Hutchinson and they were still just obliterating that offensive line, not letting Dak do anything. Special teams played lights out. They wanted to avenge that really controversial win last year when they lost against Dallas on the no call for the offensive lineman. And they did, man. And you know what? It was so funny to me because at one point it was child's play. They're doing flea flickers. They're throwing to the linemen. They're doing what do you call it when a receiver gets the ball and he passes it backwards? Hook and ladder into Panay Sewell. Like they were just out there having so much fun.
It looked like Kansas City.
They did look like Kansas City a little bit. I mean, I was just the way they did it, not allowing a touchdown to Dallas. Just really impressed. That shows me how focused they can be. And that's what they've got to do when they get into the playoffs. They've got to keep that mindset of that Detroit underdog mindset. It's hard to do when you're the best team in the league, but they've been able to do it. They've carried that from last year to this year. Their one loss was just a game where Jared Goff just had a bad game. I was just so impressed, and every single player on that team, that was the other thing too. They made sure to get everybody involved. Laporta, Gibbs, J-Mo, Montgomery, Amon-Ra. When you're trying to get your offensive tackles touchdowns, that's when you know it's been a good game.
Well, they look devastating. Mine was Chicago, brother. Chicago, and I'm telling you, I've been impressed. I'm really impressed. They just crushed Jacksonville over there across the pond, so to speak. Caleb Williams, 23 of 29, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. They are 4-2, and I've got them now. If I'm recreating my playoff bubble, stick them in there at this particular point. I really think that this is a playoff caliber team. We're going to find out a little bit more, really, here over the next few weeks. We're going to see some things from some of these teams. Some of these teams that are floating in that meddling thing, like you got the Cowboys, I think, are 3-3. You got the Eagles, 3-3. Yeah. And so we're going to find out which of these teams are really going to be contenders here over the next 3-4 weeks.
Well, I think what's really important in the NFC North, it's the only division where every team has a winning record right now.
With at least 4 wins.
And that's crazy. But you haven't had a lot of divisional games yet in the NFC North. And
it's going to start this week because the big game is going to be that Detroit, Minnesota.
Or Detroit, Minnesota, yes.
That's going to be the game.
But that's what I'm saying. We're really going to see it, but the NFC North, they are just every team.
Right now, if you're picking the best division in football, that's the best division in football.
And the Bears, I've just been so impressed at how you look at week 1 to now, just the improvement over 5 weeks. It is out of this world. I'm very impressed. Completely agree.
All righty, Mr. Brendan, who you got, brother?
So I kind of came in today, when we kind of got this, and I thought, who is the best winning team? Right? And it's not a team, it's an individual. And last week I kind of went on a little bit of rant about him, but the winning person is Robert Saleh, former head coach of the miserable New York Jets. And I think it's the fact of he could wake up this morning, get in his pickup, turn on the radio and hear Shaggy, "It wasn't me." Because the Jets are still the same old Jets they've been for, 60 years now almost?
Aaron Rodgers in the last 3 games has had a chance with the football in his hand in every game and has missed it every 3 times.
But it's the defensive guy's problem.
And 2 picks in those 3 games.
2 of those were picks last night was not on him.
I look at it, Robert Saleh, I'm glad he's going to get another head coaching job somewhere. Just kind of watching them. They got Devontae Adams. I was joking with Clint. Go get Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. Let's get all these the retirement home with the Jets. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Well, I think they were going to get rid of him anyway. I think you had to get rid of him. I think he had lost the team already. I mean,
but that's because you allow a 40-year-old on a one-year
but that's
deal
losing the team.
to control your team.
But that's losing the team because if you're going to sit there and let the quarterback run the team, then that's on you. And it was like
But he has no power.
Yes, he does. It's the same thing I was telling my brother Leonard. I was telling the same thing. You know, when you're in power, your power is something you take. I've said this over and over in my class.
Yes.
Did you give me a mug that says power is something you
Yes.
take? Right. Power is something you take. It is never given.
But it's
Power
not-
is taken.
It's not given to you.
Okay, it's not. It's taken.
And with
And
the
so if
new-
he wanted control of Aaron Rodgers, he could have made that
He
happen.
never had power.
He could have had it.
It's the same problem that's going on 6 hours from here right now. Okay? Woody Johnson runs that team. Because the reports were Robert Saleh was going to cut the offensive coordinator, fire him, or at least cut play calling from him, and he was fired right after that. So who makes that phone call?
Well, here's the thing about it is everything leads up to that. In other words, when you get the position, when you get hired, take control.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to take control, if you're going to cede some of that power to the owner, or if you're going to cede some of that power to the general manager or to the player, that's on
The
you.
coach does not have that power. The buck stops at the owner.
I'm going to disagree.
There's
with
not
you.
one head coach that can go tell the owner what to do.
Yes, they can, because that's what they get paid to do. And if they don't like it, the owner can fire them, which is what happens. What happened to Bill Parcells? Bill Parcells, I don't want Terrell Owens. We were having this conversation earlier today.
Right, so you
I
get
don't.
fired either way, but Bill Parcells had no power.
But you get fired on your own terms.
Well, that's what he did.
Okay. I don't think he got fired on his own terms. He was still trying to hang in there. But that's the whole other
Yeah,
thing.
well, their defense is arguably one of the best in the league. It should have worked with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, it should have.
It's going to.
You think it's still going to?
But,
Okay.
but what's different?
Well, we'll get to it. All right. So Robert Saleh is your guy.
Yeah.
All right. So it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't.
Still losing.
Let's do it. Losing teams, Clinton. Losing teams.
My surprise, and it's the Jets.
Hey, man!
I know. What are the odds? So this is live. No, I know.
You want to just get a chant going?
Jets, Jets. No. So let me hold on, calm down.
This nightmare will never.
So I was really sad to see that the Jets weren't one of your pick'em games, but of course you might not have known so. So here's my thing. If you look, teams historically, when they fire their coach in season, they generally have a surge of energy and a surge of emotion. And they come out and they actually have I think the fantasy footballers mentioned this in their podcast, I think they have a winning record. Teams once the week after they fire their coach. It doesn't always work. Stop. It doesn't always work long term.
That might be perfect. I'm sorry.
That's the transition.
That's transition. Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready to continue your
Do you
rant,
want to retake it or you just blow that up?
1. So as I was saying, okay, the Jets get a rushing touchdown that would have given them a 7-point lead. It gets called back on a hold that didn't even impact the play. Aaron Rodgers then proceeds to get to them in field goal range 2 more times. 2 missed kicks. So there's 13 points completely off the board. Would have won the game. And then at the end of the game, there was a miscommunication. Mike Williams ran the wrong route. You had another throw. He hit Garrett Wilson in the hands. Defense just made a great play and sandwiched him. I think the Jets. I think they have started to figure out. They took the play calling hands out of whatever the guy's name is that everybody can't say. I can't even remember his name. Hackett. Just absolutely terrible. And I thought the defense played. They played with some energy. I think they're going to get some cornerbacks back. They're 2-4. And they won last night. They'd be 3-3 and leading the division. But right now they're 2-4. They play the Patriots this week. I think or not this week. I'm sorry. They played the Steelers this week. Foreshadowing. I think they're going to win that. I think they're going to go on a little bit of a winning streak. I think they're going to find they get Devontae Adams. Now Devontae Adams is going to be the 1. Garrett Wilson's going to go to the 2. Garrett Wilson's no longer going to be double covered. Like I said, I'm just surprised they lost because I thought with the fire, the energy, and the way they played, they got the running game going. I thought they had everything going for them last night. Unfortunately, just couldn't put it together right there at the end. So that's why I'm surprised they lost.
I think they're going to just continue to descend because I think Aaron Rodgers right now is going to become a cancer. Because if you listen to the press conference, he pretty much throws one of his teammates under the bus.
He said Mike Williams ran the wrong route.
And you shouldn't do that. The quarterback should go ahead and take the blame. That's the difference between you listen to somebody at the microphone like an Eli Manning or a Patrick Mahomes. They are so great at the microphone. They are so wonderful at the microphone. You don't sit there and throw your teammate under the bus because now the next receiver up goes, well, okay? So I think that destroys chemistry. I think that hurts the team. There's certain things that need to be kept in a locker room.
I agree.
And so, especially, it's like they're doing the same thing in Philadelphia with their head coach, Sirianni.
Oh, don't.
Okay,
Yeah,
I mean that's all. It's like
a whole nother.
Keep things in a locker room, and you have to be even keeled in front of the press. It's just that's what the leaders are supposed to do. The leaders are supposed to take the blame. It was my fault. Let's move on.
My one thing before you get into your thing about the Sirianni, listen, you're gonna coach in Philly. You just got to have earplugs in, man, because you can't argue with the fans here, man.
That's hard.
All right, let's move on because we could talk about this junk for hours. Here we go. My big loser is Dallas. 47-9, they lose to Detroit. Just pretty much had their hat handed to them. Dak Prescott, 17 for 33, 178 yards, 2 interceptions. Detroit. This is the Dallas Cowboys defense once again, just giving up a lot of points. Detroit had 27 first downs, 492 total yards. Cowboys had 5 turnovers.
Recipe for losing.
And it's just I don't know. This is a team I figured is going to make the playoffs. They're going to have to do something. They're 3-3. I still think they've got a good head coach. I still think they know what they're doing to a certain degree. As far as schemes, but the players have got to perform. And right now, they've only got a handful of players, and they've got a lot of players that just aren't performing. I mean, you got all these running backs that they've picked up. We haven't even seen Dalvin Cook
So
yet.
that's exactly what I said. I was talking to another person. What they need to do is they need to trade for a running back. And I think if I'm the Cowboys, go get a team that thinks they have a fine backup running back. Go get Travis Etienne. I think you put Travis Etienne in this offense. You give them a legitimate threat. You give another passing. They need a running back because they cannot get a consistent ground game. I thought Rico finally kind of broke out against the Steelers. Dallas and Tom Brady said it best. What sucks, they're falling behind. So the running game is so bad that no defense loads the box, and they just stay back too high. And then the Dallas can't get the passing game going. It's miserable there.
Yeah, I just think it's personnel. I just don't think they have the players.
No, I think they're a good running. Make a trade. If there's a team that needs to make a trade, it is Dallas Cowboys go get a running back.
It's hard to trade when you've got no capital.
Fair. Trade Michael Parsons.
Yeah, I would trade him. Okay, I would trade CD Lamb because you can't. You got to get rid of the.
What's the cap hit on that?
All right, let's not digress here.
It's a Rant squad. We're going to digress into this.
You trade those two guys and you get you some picks because as of right now, you're not a Super Bowl team. Fair to say? And if you're not a Super Bowl team, why not go ahead and start doing it? You could still win and be mediocre with Dak Prescott. You can still win and be mediocre here over the next few seasons. But you need to get young and you need to get personnel. So trade your best players for a few first-round picks and second-round picks.
Well, Jerry doesn't do that.
I know. What an idiot. Brendan, who you got? Who's your loser?
So I was sitting here. I agree with you. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. You've already talked about them. We don't want to go back on that Jets train because I had written in Woody Johnson over the Jets. But I'm going to talk about a team that I'm really high on. They lost. I picked them to lose. But I thought they were really good and competitive in the loss, and that was the Commanders.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. We even said that if they could beat the Ravens, they'd be in the top 10. I think they still are.
I agree.
Lose by 7 points to the Ravens, the Commanders. And with Dallas playing like this, they can win that division.
They absolutely can.
I think Philly might fight back and forth because Philly has the talent.
Philly's just loaded with
Well,
players.
that's what I mean. But I
they're loaded
think
with
the
players.
Commanders, and even in losing this game, they just couldn't run the ball. You look at 52 rushing yards in the game, but they won the turnover battle against them, and everything. That was a good. You don't want to say moral wins,
But it was one of the wins that I don't know in their locker room, because they've already been winning.
Yeah.
But for me as an outside, I'm like, Okay, now I believe.
Because
Now I believe.
when you look at it, you never want to say, "Oh, we take moral victories," because at the end of the day, it's just wins and losses. But that is the biggest moral victory you could probably get. Rookie quarterback, this team that nobody really picked to do anything.
Possibly a top 3 team in the league, and you hung with them.
And you're competing with them. You're 4-2. I was just very impressed with the Commanders this weekend.
I think they're going to keep winning.
Derrick Henry is just tearing it up, is he not? And I told y'all this at the beginning of the year.
I
Remember
would
you
do that
said,
one.
you don't know what you're talking about, water dog, and I'm like, brother, I'm telling you, in that
Listen.
offense, that's 15 touchdowns, and he's on pace for 17, 18
But
touchdowns.
nobody
You
would
said
have saw.
1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns.
But nobody would have saw this
1,500
because
yards.
they have chosen to take that kind of out of Lamar's hands a lot to give to him. I did not think they
They're
would do
using
that.
him a lot more, but he
Yes.
looks refreshed. He looks like 2
He
years
does.
ago.
He's having fun. If you
Yes.
listen to him at the press conference, he's
But
having
see,
fun.
and that's the biggest. That was the factor that maybe I didn't factor in, because I'm sorry, but if you took the Derrick Henry from last year, he's better than he was
Well,
last year.
I think his stats are going to be better this year. The more I kind of thought about it, they can't load the box. This isn't Tennessee.
No.
They have to respect this offense.
Yes, because they can pass.
But
Look, I mean, Zay Flowers had 130 yards in the first half.
But I did think Lamar would have taken some of his touchdowns. He hasn't so far. So I'll give you, he might reach that.
But you know, this is their recipe for winning. You look, they passed, they threw all over the Commanders in the first half, and then the second half, they got a lead and they ran the ball, ran out the clock.
Well, it could
They're
be
one of the
interesting.
2 most dangerous teams. I still think Detroit and the Ravens are 2 of the most dangerous teams right now because they can do both those things. They can run that football, they can pass the football, and they've got some pretty good defense.
I would be interested to see this year with Lamar Jackson not taking as much of the rushing opportunity, what this could mean in the postseason. If he's a little fresher, maybe there's not lingering injuries, because he's not having to run, they're just handing it off to Derrick Henry.
Well,
So I have a question before we get to the best performance right now. And who is your leading? Who's your MVP? Right at week 6 weeks in, only looking at these 6 weeks. Who's the most valuable player in the NFL right now?
Well, I think when we had the thing, we did the 4-week cap. I was saying Sam Darnold, and so as of right now, who I would pick, I'd pick Baker Mayfield.
Oh, okay. Kind of different.
I'd pick Baker. Baker Mayfield is playing some of the best football out there right now. I'm just saying, and if Tampa Bay wins that division and they go to the playoffs, and let's just say Tampa Bay ends up 12, he's going to get the MVP. He's going to get it.
I forgot we did back in week 4. I was amazed because one of the things I looked at Lamar is I was like, you know, the caveat with his career is he's been up and then he'll come down. He'll be up and he'll come. He looked at his game. So
They can run it. I think they can
I
kind of take it out of his hands and really slow that game, which is great to go to do.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. Best performance, Mr. Clinton. Who you got, brother?
You talked about it, and he's my go. Caleb Williams, 23 of 29, 4 touchdowns. Should have been 5. He had the touchdown for DJ Moore called back, and then they ran it in. The way I won't spend much time on it. The way he's just improved so much from week 1 to week 2 to week 3, 4, 5, and 6. He looks good.
They have gotten better with him.
He looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, he just had a connection over there with Mr. Baker Mayfield, brother, in that game, Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. 11 receptions, 125 yards, 2 TDs, and he's just, I'm telling you right now, Buccaneers, that's a scary team.
But their defense is their kryptonite.
Yeah, but I mean, they got one of the best defensive players out there, man. Levante David is a stud. That guy's just a
They
stud.
can put points on the board.
But they can put points on the board, and you know what? They're playing like a team. I mean, they're just playing like a team, and they've got a 3-headed running monster right now because it doesn't matter who they're sticking in the backfield right now. They can run the football.
I think the only problem with Tampa that I see is we all know when you get into December, defenses are going to win. Defenses win championships. They got to share that side of the ball. If you can't just shoot everybody out.
Well, we're going to find out. So, Mr. Brendan, who you got?
So I had written in to this slot Derrick Henry. Thought he had a really good game. 24 carries, 132, 2 touchdowns. But I got to thinking, how funny is it? The week I do not start Mark Andrews in fantasy, he's relevant. So I'm going Mark Andrews as my best performance. 3 catches on 4 targets, 66 yards and a touchdown, becoming relevant once again.
Can he keep it up?
Probably not, because I'll start him this week, and he'll probably get me 2 targets, 0 catches. But no, I thought Derrick Henry had a really good game for all the reasons we talked about earlier, but on paper, we're going to go with Mark Andrews because the week I don't play him.
All right. All right, let's move it on to the final category for us, which is the worst performance by a player. Tom?
Again, somebody we've already covered, so I won't dwell on it, but it's Dak Prescott. I mean,
I actually started, look, I started right now. He's going to say Dak.
Yeah, no, that's who it was. We already talked. Kelly, me and you were on the same.
Bring it right now.
I love it. It was miserable. That's how bad. No, nothing else needs to be said. Move on. Kelly, who is your worst?
Mine, he probably did not have the worst game, but I'm telling you, I get frustrated being a New York Giants fan watching Daniel Jones. It's just frustrating. It's just,
He is a great value, Eli Manning.
He is just, the problem is that they really could do something this year. They have lost so many games here close to the wire, and then Daniel Jones, once again throws one of them stupid interceptions.
Duvall is doing everything he can.
Yes, there's the play calling is great. The schematic for them is great.
Good enough.
And the defense, yeah.
I'm going to be so disappointed when they fire Duvall, and I hope he gets another head coach.
I don't think they're going to fire him. I think after this season, they're going to have to move on from him. They're going to have to move on. I feel like that's the only thing right now at this point that's keeping them out. The offensive line has gotten better. They've got a pretty strong receiving core right now. If they were weak in anything, I would say it's going to be in the secondary and in the backfield. That's their 2 weaknesses, secondary and the backfield to a certain degree. But Daniel Jones, there's moments, he can run that, and when he runs well.
He runs well. He's a good runner.
Well. And so, he had like another, 51 yards, I think, in this particular game. So it's just like, come on, man. But he was 22 for 41, and that one interception is just driving me crazy. What do you got?
My worst performance is the Dallas Cowboys as a whole, all around.
All the players.
It's that team. Offense.
All Cowboys suck.
Dallas Cowboys, last week, and I picked them. I told you I was seeing stars, I was seeing all this. I didn't pick them for a reason. Go back and watch this video if you need any more evidence.
Folks, that's all we got time for. We're not talking about the Cowboys anymore.
Or the Jets.
Jets.
We're the Red Squad. I'm the Water Dog. This is
Clint Jordan.
And this is
Anti-New York Jets.
Oh man, and we are